So it's time for our next speaker. So our next speaker is an international speaker from Russia. His name is Alexey.
I would like to say you good afternoon or good morning. I would like to tell you about my experience how to build trust with remote teams. It's not a secret that remote teams now is our new reality, and we need to understand how to handle this new reality and how to help our teams to be a high performance teams. And it's not a secret that trust is one of the key elements of any effective team. But how to build trust in remote teams and create some new kind of culture, some new kind of environment. Actually, I would like to share my experience. I will tell you a little bit about my approaches, my instruments, and I think it will be very interesting. But in the beginning, I would like to tell a little bit about myself. My name is Alexey Pikulev. I'm an Agile coach from Russia. I have been working with Agile since 2011, and I have participated in different Agile transformations, and in Russia and other countries. And actually, my current focus is trust. Trust, I think it's very important for any organization. And if you want to change something, if you want to build a new environment, we need to, first of all, we need to build trust between team members, trust between teams, trust between our customers and us, and etc., etc. And in order to build it, we need to find some framework. We need to find some very useful instruments. And in our new reality, indeed, it's very difficult, because I see that for many teams, the transition from physical to virtual teams, it's very difficult, and we need to find some solutions. We need to maybe reorganize our working process, and I don't know. I think it's very important. And let's consider what we need to do, what we need to change. First of all, my trust model based on different levels. First of all, we need to understand that trust is very complicated word, and in order to change something, in order to improve something, we need to understand what kind of level we need to change. Because first of all, trust, it's based on trust between each other in our teams. Trust between a team and its leader. It's it's very important to consider. I'm like a leader. What I need to change in my behavior in order to help my teams to build trust. And of course, the next level is trust between my company, my customers, and between different teams. And there I need to find some clear goals, and maybe to redefine goals, and of course bring some openness around my goals, about my vision, etc., etc. But what kind of framework I need to apply in order to build trust? From my experience, we can split trust building process into concrete 5 steps. First of all, we need to bring some awareness. We need to find some answer why we need build trust, what kind of goals we have, and how trust can help us to reach these goals. And this awareness is very important for us, because without it, it's impossible to change our behavior. It's impossible to bring new things, because I see that sometimes people we don't understand why it's important for us to build trust. The next step is definition. We need to find a common definition. What trust is mean for us? What kind of factors we have? How we can define team trust? How we can define organization trust? How we can define customer trust? And again, it's very important to find some alignment between different definitions. The next step, trust dynamics. We need to find and amplify factors which can help us to develop trust. And again, it's very important because we need to find main points where we can apply our forces, where we can apply our instruments, and we need to prioritize these forces because there are a lot of opportunities for us. There are a lot of things, and we need to find some mainly important points for us. The next, trust in action. Trust in action. I mean that's we need to define some concrete steps, concrete experiments. What we will do tomorrow, after 1 week, after 2 weeks, and how we will measure our results, how we will measure something what we need to change, and how we can apply some retrospective around it in order to inspect and adapt, etc., etc. And the last but not the least, we need to understand how to recover trust, because without it, it's impossible to develop trust. It looks like a process, and we need to ask every time, ask ourselves, ask our teams, what we need to do in order to recover trust, how we can get some knowledge from our faults, and what we need to change in the future in order to build more valuable culture, etc. And I think it's very important to understand that we understand trust like a process, and we will continue to improve our process. The next step to define key elements. The next step is very important because here we can find concrete instruments for every element in order to amplify it, in order to improve it, and in order to find some concrete solutions. For example, if we want to build some clarity around our information, for remote team, we can propose some common environment around our all information. For example, we can use some Dropbox or other things in order to share some necessary information flows, or we can use some other instruments in order to clarify goals, visions, some necessary information around products, our customers, our contracts. But if we can find something for our remote teams, I think it's very important to engage people to help us to find some right solution, because for remote teams it's very important to, I think, to engage people to help us to identify new necessary instruments. The next connections. I think it's a very important factors for any remote teams, because now we have another approaches for building connection between each others. We need to use some video, some visualization tools in order to build new environment, new approaches for our connection, collaborations. And again, it's very important in the beginning, because before we just use only common things like talking, like sharing some knowledge in our offices, but now we need to redesign it. We need to reconnect with each other, and maybe we need to know more about each other, because right now it's another environment, and maybe we need to redefine our teams, rebuild our teams around new connections. Compassion, it's another point for our, it's another challenge, I think, for our remote team, because we need to bring all things from our offices. We need to build our new virtual office, and around this office we need to understand how we can share some knowledge, some emotions between each other, because I think it's very difficult to do for remote teams to be on the same page, to be on the same level of emotions, and how we can change it, how we can use it. Maybe we need to talk every day with each other about different topics, not only about works, not only about our products, but maybe we can discuss something about virus, about business, about everything. We need to build new connections between, we need to amplify our emotions flow between each other. The next values, actually, for me, it's very important to for remote teams to align our values, because right now, maybe for some people, it will be very difficult to handle this this environment, handle this remote environment, and we need to understand which kind of values we have right now, what we need to improve, how to talk about values, how to align our values, and which principles will help us to understand our new values, and in order to build our new ground rules, maybe new team agreements, and again, we need to discuss it in the beginning. The next point, competency. We trust people with high level of competency, but how to build it, how to improve our competency in our remote team? Maybe we need to redesign our team agreement. We need to use some modern instruments like Zoom or other video services in order to organize some pair programming connections, maybe some rooms in order to share our knowledge. Of course, we need to do some retrospective around knowledge. We need to spread some information. We need to organize some maybe wiki or other things in order to share knowledge, because it's a great challenge, but it's great. Maybe it's a great opportunity to figure out what kind of tools we can include in our processes in order to build some new knowledge environment, new knowledge organization. And again, I think it's a great opportunity, because after our crisis, we will use these tools in order to be a better company. The next, responsibility, commitment. I think for remote teams, it's crucial to clarify all decision areas, because it's very difficult, and in order to build some openness around decision areas, around responsibilities, we need to clarify it together with our leaders, with our managers, in order to understand who will be responsible for what and how we can foster it and how we'll reorganize it. Because for remote teams, it's very important share some common understanding of responsibility areas, and we need to build some open environment for any errors, and we'll understand how to get some knowledge from any errors and fails. Contribution and results. I think it's our in an agile world, it's our strong point, because we know how to break down our projects into small steps, and I think it's very important to bring this idea to any remote teams in order to align our vision, align our projects, our goals, and we need to understand how to get results, concrete results from any steps in order to correct something, in order to inspect something, and of course in order to adapt our way in order to get some better results. And we need to synchronize our teams. We need to understand which kind of results we will get from any steps, and of course measure it together. And the last one, consistency. We need to understand how we will improve our trust from time to time. We need to organize some trust retrospectives in order to understand which kind of experiments we will apply next month, next week, because without it will be like only one step. But we need to organize trust flow, maybe, in order to build, in order to improve, and find some new solutions which help us to foster our environment, foster our trust. And in this case, we will engage people, we will build a new culture, and of course we will handle all problems with remote working. And I would like to share with you some example which kind of instruments we can use, we can apply in remote environment. Actually, it's a very useful tool for organizing some facilitation session, visualize our discussion around trust, and this is a team trust canvas. Actually, it's a very important, for me, it's a very important instrument when we want to apply our work for trust improvement. And actually, we can collect here all our actions and all our experiments. And for remote team, we can use the same instrument in different virtual tools, for example, in Mural. And we can organize a workshop around some small sessions, a small retrospective around trust, and define together which kind of actions we want to apply for different areas. For example, if you want to build clarity, okay, guys, what we need to do? Need to organize some Dropbox environment? Okay, let's do it. Or we need to define, clarify our decision areas. What we will do? Okay, let's consider with our managers, let's organize some session together, virtuality and virtual sessions, and then we will define and which areas we will need to improve, etc., etc. For example, for values, we can organize again some virtual workshop and align our values, define our values, and then define some behavior, some principles which will help us to understand and embrace our values, our team values. And I think it's very important that we can bring some practical tools, not only some theoretical ideas, but practical tools in order to foster our trust, build our trust. And the main point is when we have a remote team, when we want to organize our new environment, when we want to build trust, we need to change our leadership and management practice, because without it, it's impossible to do something. And if you want to do it, just try to define your okay, in order to do it, you need to define your first steps, you need to define your first experiments, and together try to do all these things. For me, it's very important that we can bring this idea to our managers and to our leaders, that trust without their help won't be grow and want to build. And that's all my ideas. I'm ready to any questions. Please let me know what you think. Thank you.
So thanks, Alexey. It was indeed a great session. I think it's a need of the hour when the whole world is currently duped into Corona, and most of the organizations has moved into the work from home mode. So, and most of them right now are investing in remote teams. So I think we received one question for
Okay.
you. Yeah. So the
Okay.
question was 1 minute. Yeah. It's from Jitendra Vedi. Please suggest online games to build trust and rapport in a distributed agile environment.
Yeah. Actually, there are a lot of games which we can apply with our virtual teams. I have a short list, and if you want, I can send you this list. Actually, we can organize some virtual coffee break or virtual dinner together, for example. We can share some ideas how to organize my virtual reality and use some virtual reality games. But at least I have a very short list, but I can send you. It's very, I think, very important. If you ping me in LinkedIn, I will send you. Okay. And the next question: how can we ensure or measure the progression of trust among teams? Abstract thing without any concrete. Yeah, actually, how to measure trust. Actually, yeah, I agree. It's very important, and it's very difficult to measure trust. But the main idea to split trust into concrete areas, into concrete factors, for example, clarity or competency. And actually, we can measure some these areas. For example, we can collect some problems around clarity or maybe competency and investigate these problems. We can ask some feedback about about our trust, about our feeling of trust. Ask our participants, our teams, what guys do you think? How we can measure trust? What do you think? It's very important to ask some questions and find some maybe not right metrics for trust, but right instruments to investigate, to collect some problems around trust. I think we can measure some things around our conversation, our feedback loops, etc., etc. Yes. Yes, again, can we say when there's trust, you can see very less team dysfunction and less interpersonal problems? Exactly. We can, we can feel some toxic environment. And if we can measure, we can find some toxic behavior. Actually, it's a point where we can improve our trust. But again, it's very difficult to measure. We can participate like a observer and observe some toxic behavior, and maybe we can collect some problems around trust, around behavior, and maybe it will help us to understand that with trust we have some problems. But again, it's very difficult. Only observation, only asking teams, only retrospective maybe Trust is highly volatile. It may go up and down depending on team mood. However, work volume is mostly consistent or high. How to handle it? Yes, exactly. Trust is very important. For trust, it's very important to understand that from time to time we will go down or go up, and actually we need to, I think, in order to handle it, we need to engage all our team, because without it, every time it will be looking like our task. But in order to build trust between team members, we need to engage and bring some awareness that trust is important for us. And without engaging, it will looks like our task, and we will, try to implement something, but without understanding, we will meet every time some resistance from our teams. We need to engage people, first of all, and bring some awareness. Yes, be servant leadership. I think it's very important. And why I like a Scrum Master, like to bring some trust ideas to my teams, because I think it's our task to engage people, to build. Under each topic is very good if you revisit them. Yes, you can actually. It's a good question that about retrospective. That I think it's very important to, for example, bring this canvas into your retrospective and organize some trust retrospective around all these factors, and find some ideas how to improve something. Maybe you will focus only one or two elements. It doesn't matter, because first of all, you need to find what right now what is important for you. Maybe it will be only connections, or maybe it will be only clarity. Try to focus on mainly important things. Find your way and do something, and then check. And I would like to say thank you guys for your invitation. If you want to get some slides from my side, I will be ready to share it. Please find me in LinkedIn.
Thank you, Alexey. It was great having you for the event.